Entitle Aunt demanded I should give my $5,000 Lego Technic collection because I am too old to own a Lego. Reading this subreddit had reminded me that I had encountered Entitle Parents, and I figured I should tell you my story. Sorry in advance, English is not my first language. Cast: me mom Entitle Aunt, Entitle son, uncle. A bit of info before to the story. My parents introduced me to Lego when I was 5 years old. It was a Lego Technic and I successfully built it the first time. My interest in Lego Technic increased ever since and started doing the harder Lego set, and I really enjoyed it. It was in 2018, my grandmother passed away and my family held a meeting with our extended family at our house. The house was packed since our home is not that huge. Then my and her son and husband came to our. Everyone in my family dislike her very much because she never respect her own parents and she has a disgusting attitude. Everyone avoided her and my mom approached her. My mom was confused because she didn't send an invitation her. My mom asked her why and she answered, "I came here for the inheritance." The room went silent and my mom was in shock of the reasoning she came. Entered S. He was 7 years old and went to the living room playing with the other kids. I locked my room because he entered in my room once and dropped some of my Legos to the ground, but I built it back again eventually. I didn't trust S to come in room as this Legos took me days to build a single Lego set and I don't want to get smash on the ground. Shouting started in the living room by and my because I deserve to claim all the inheritance and only me. This turned into a fight between the siblings and I was scared and not used to hear someone shouting ANS, so I went to my room to take a break. As I was heading to my room, S followed me and I didn't notice at all until I reached to my door. He tried to sneak into my room. I able to stop him. He threw a fit and he asked why I am not letting him in. I told him my reasoning and he answered back, "It was just an accident." This isn't actually the first time he dropped my Legos by accidents. Hearing those words made my blood boil and told him the last time he will not entered in room. His face was filled with anger and he went back to his mom. I thought that was the end of it, and oh boy was I wrong. He heard knock on my door and guess who it is? Of course it's EA. She looks annoyed looking at me. The following conversation that happened: EA, why are you not letting my son enter your, me, he dropped my Legos a lot of times and I don't trust him in my room. EA, oh come on, it was just an accident. Come on S, get in. The audacity of my EA is unbelievable when I already told her no multiple times and she went back to the living room. Look, Legos. Can you give them to me? Me, what the heck? No, I spent a lot of money to buy this and days to build this Lego and years to collect it. I do not trust you with my Legos because I know you are not gonna take a good care of it. At this point S was angry and was about to throw a fit. He went to his mom again and I cannot believe what S told to her. EA, you said you were gonna give your Legos to S. Me, no, everything your son told you is a complete lie. EA, just give him all of your Legos, besides you are too old to own this anyway. Me, no, I will not. This is your warning. Get out of my way. She then proceeded to push me away really hard to the walls. My back was in pain and I saw EA and S is trying to grab the bigger Lego on the shelf. I ran to them and took back my Legos safely away from them. EA began to shout at me, telling me how stupid I am, and more insults from her. Apparently, her shouting can be heard from the living room and my and came in to check. I was about to tell Tem what happened but EA cut me off. She tell her story to them and my mom knew it was a lie. Know me that I would not give away my Lego sets and told EA to get out of the house. This made so mad that she decided to pull my shelf, full Legos, to the ground. I was shocked, but my quickly grabbed the shelf and hold it to prevent EA to pull it. My is a huge and tall guy with a long beard, warned EA to get out of the house and never come back. EA was mad and she pulled S arms to the exit. I thanked my for helping me and at the same day he bought me a Lego set and I was very happy. To this day, everyone cut contact with EA and we heard her husband divorce her. Her husband has a really good paying job and he had enough of crap with EA. Last seen I saw her was living in a small apartment. Title: Entitled mother almost gets her children killed. Okay, so this happened last summer here in Australia and I've recently found the police report again. I am writing this on mobile, so I'm trying to be as quick as I can and I'm going to generalize a lot of it. If you would like something cleared up, I can do so. Also not entirely sure if this belongs here. Mods, if it doesn't, PLZ remove and let me know. Mid-January over here in Australia is the dead of summer. It can easily get to 40 degrees Celsius here, that's about 104 Fahrenheit. I was doing my shopping, was about to, when I passed a car parked in the parking lot that caught my eye. It was a standard-looking sedan, but what actually caught my eye was the two kids sitting in the back seat. One of them had a blood nose that was gushing out. Looked like he had been beaten half to death. I called 000, which is Australia's 911, and immediately asked for police. I told them very quickly what was going on and asked for permission to break the window, while already taking my shirt off to protect my fist. They actually said no because that's damage of property. I'm not quite convinced they fully understood what was happening because of my panicked explanation of the situation. I said that I'm doing it anyway because the longer I wait the higher likely that the kids would be dead. I think they finally clicked and clued into what was going on and said the ambulance had been radioed by the cops who were on their way. I told the kids to at least close their eyes and try to shield themselves in any way they could, and then bam, down goes the window. I had attracted a small crowd at this point from my yelling into the phone, but I was for the most part ignoring them. I opened the doors and a nice couple had helped me get the kids out and into the air conditioning of the shopping center. Long story short, yes, the cops arrived. Yes, the mother of the kids found her severely dehydrated children on the floor unconscious and started swearing up a storm demanding to know who had done this to her precious babies. Yes, I told her, "You did, you dumb bitch," then put my shirt back on. Yes, she found out who smashed her window. Yes, she tried to have me charged and sued. The cop, a father of two girls I later found out, had torn her a brand new asshole to shove those claims into. I was half-heartedly warned not to break windows again, but was unofficially thanked by the police. Stop leaving your children in hot. Title: M freaks out BC, her kid can't pet my dog. This happened several years ago and to date is the most abrasive interaction I have had with other folks in public regarding my service dog, who is now retired. M. Entitled mom, EK. Entitled kid, SD. Service dog, me. Self-explanatory. I was maybe about 21 at the time and was in the beginning stages of really learning to be an adult on my own at the time. I had just moved out of my parents' house and I to an apartment with a friend. Before this, I still lived at home with my parents and usually just went to school, work, and didn't often go places alone because I'm kind of a homebody. So between school, work, and the odd outing with my parents or friends, everyone usually around me was really respectful and familiar with my service dog and my general rules about her. I didn't have issues usually, and if I did, someone less anxious and more assertive was usually there to help me. This was no longer the case after I moved out. I was out and about running some errands on my own, which I was beginning to enjoy doing, with my service dog at my side. Along the way, I realized I hadn't eaten in a while and decided to stop at the food court of the mall I was in right then for something quick and tasty. I got my food, found a seat, and began to get my SD focused and prepared to go through our usual process so I could get started on my meal. I'm not secretive or anything personally, and usually I'm down to discuss my dog and educate if I have the time or energy with someone who is polite and well-meaning. I have a really intense food allergy, so that's what she is for. She also knows how to bring me a handful of objects on command, like an EpiPen, inhaler, or just lay down next to me to give me access to meds carried on her harness. It's really important that she not be disturbed while I have her check things because a missed alert can be life or death for me, not to be dramatic or anything. Breathing tends to be important. So I'm about to go through the process of having my dog do a check for me when I see a child making a beeline for my SD. She is harnessed, clearly and boldly marked, and not facing this little girl. That doesn't matter though, because the child is clearly too young or excited to read. EK, puppy. I placed a hand out instinctively just in time to keep her from touching my dog, who is still set to do her check thankfully. I try to be understanding with kids, but I have a few hard and fast rules. I never reward attempts to touch without asking. I will stop and thank polite children though. Each situation usually gets a conversation from me about how important working dogs are. However, even with polite children, I do not stop my dog mid-task for my own safety. Me, oh no, honey. Please don't touch the puppy. She has a really important job and she is working right now. This is usually a good enough explanation for most children about 2 and up. Not this one though, because she immediately starts crying. I am talking full on pouring tears and a red face as she screamed loudly in the busy food court. I looked around for a parent and locked eyes with a round, blonde woman who was apparently staring icy daggers at me. M, why are you touching my child? EK, puppy. I want the puppy. M marches over to me from her table and demands that I just let her child pet my dog. I could feel the heat on my neck. I was so embarrassed at all the staring faces. Me, I'm sorry, I really can't do that. This is my service dog and she's working right now. If I let her get distracted during her task, I can get really sick or even worse. M, service dogs are for disabled people. You obviously aren't blind and you don't look sick. Me, thanks. That means she's doing a good job. M, what's wrong with you then? Just let her pet the dog. The child is carrying on incoherently during this exchange and has now thrown herself on the floor. My SD is not engaging her but is fond of children, so she is looking at her with concern. I get more irritated because I will have to wait longer to eat now. Me, that's none of your business. Nobody is petting the dog. Can you please leave me alone? Your kid shouldn't be running at large dogs she doesn't know anyway. M, I bet you're just faking it. I don't think pit bulls can even be service dogs. Me, any breed can be a service dog, lady. Please go away and take your daughter with you. M looks like I just slapped her in the face. She could tell I wasn't going to budge. She picked up the small screaming child, walked back to her table and put her in a stroller. She gathered her stuff and left. I breathed a sigh of relief and decided to check my phone for a minute so my SD could forget the ordeal and reset. I figured it was behind me and I could go back to what I was doing. Oh, how wrong I was. Just a few minutes later, I could hear the screech of an M heading back into battle. The child was still crying and this time she was accompanied by a security officer. M, there. That animal bit my baby. My eyes probably looked like they were going to fall out of my head. I knew people had weird hang-ups about breeds, but this lady had just been demanding her kid be allowed to pet my dog. I couldn't believe it. This particular security guard looked like he didn't want to be mediating between adults at all. He asked me if it was true and I of course said it wasn't. I told him that the child had run up to my dog and the mother was mad I wouldn't let my dog be pet. He asked if she was a service dog. I confirmed she was. He asked if she was trained to do a task to mitigate a disability. I confirmed she was. M, she's lying. That mutt but my daughter and made her cry. EK, puppy. The child is visibly reaching for the dog. The security guard is clearly having none of her crap at this point. My SD is calmly sitting next to us during the whole ordeal, watching me. She doesn't exactly look vicious and is actually quite a sissy. At this point a girl, nice girl, Ing, around my own age chimes in. Ing, this lady and her kid were bothering Op. That child was never bitten. You have cameras, right? The security guard confirms there are indeed cameras and says we will all need to follow him so he can check the footage due to the severity of the accusation. SG, either I have to call animal control or the police. Harassing a service dog is a felony and a dog biting a child is a pretty big deal. Either way, someone is in trouble. M looks panicked and starts to backpedal and says she's willing to drop it and everyone can go their own way. Her precious baby is fine after all. Me, I'm not willing to drop it. You lied about me. Let's go. 3 more security guards show up and we all get escorted to the security office. Sure enough, the footage shows that the kid never even got within arm's reach of my dog and M was harassing us. They ask me if I want to press charges and I say that I do. Police show up within a few minutes and I happen to know one of the officers because he's my ex-boyfriend's dad. We split amicably before we graduated high school. He knows me. He knows my dog. He loves my dog and has said she's one of the best trained dogs he's ever met. I usually wouldn't be petty, but I excitedly greet him. He smiles and asks if it's okay to pet SD at the moment. I thank him for asking permission and say of course. M looked like she could just throw something. The other officer takes my statement. In the end, the officers see the footage, M gets arrested and extra charges thrown on for resisting arrest and assaulting an officer. It was pretty wild. And my first real experience with entitled people on my own. The charge for harassing my SD ended up getting dropped, but the other two charges stuck.